Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and we're going to take this beautiful indigo blue color and we're going to turn it into spring because I was determined to use this color because it is just stunning. So a customer of Tracy's had requested in the Facebook group for her to create a color similar to this, and boy did she deliver. Everyone got so excited, so get ready. This color is releasing on April 1st and you're going to want a whole vat of it because it is good for year round, as I'm going to show you, because we're going to turn it into a springtime mani using this beautiful plate that Maniology sent me. So it's got all these beautiful floral patterns on here. I was really excited about it because I love flowers, cannot draw them unless they're like the super simple like dot flowers. So we're going to use this to bump it up and make this a springtime mani. I will be using dip liquids, so I'm using my double dipped dip liquids, and this is going to be a simple one color mani. My dip powder is just going to be my base for the stamping. So I'm starting with my dip base, which is my glue that helps the dip powder adhere to my nails. And I do have on a layer of peel base as well, just because unfortunately I won't be able to wear this mani for long. So that's why my nails are shiny. So I'm just applying a thin, even layer of dip base to my entire nail. I want to make sure that I'm not getting any of that product on my skin. And then once I've got that dip base down, I'm going to go ahead and dip into my powder. I did go ahead and pour my jar into my Chaos Gemerald Mini from Chaos Concepts, just because this is a sample jar, so my nails really don't fit well in there and it makes a bit of a mess. So it's just easier to dip into my Chaos Gemerald rather than trying to dip in that little jar. So I'm going to continue on dipping all 5 fingers with this indigo blue. It's going to be the same process for all. I'm not going to worry about like dusting on off any excess powder, anything like that, until I'm done with all 5 nails, just because it's the same process. But I will say this, after I dip, I do take my precision tool and I make sure that I clean up around my cuticle area and sidewalls, just in case there's any excess product. I want to remove that before my dip base dries, because excess product on your skin can cause lifting. I don't do a one color mani often, but I do actually really enjoy them. And for a color like this, I feel like it stands for itself. It's beautiful all on its own. It doesn't need a glitter or an accent or anything like that. Although I will say, I bet there are a bunch of glitters that would look amazing with this. But I just feel like the simplicity of it and the beauty of it, it's just like perfect on its own. And it's just easier to do a one color mani because you don't have to worry about switching things out, switching your tools, contamination, things like that. So it just goes a lot quicker, which I appreciate, especially when I'm limited on time. And of course, the quality of dip powder is going to matter as well. And I'll say for Tracy's dips, and especially this solid dip, this indigo blue that I'm using, it's super smooth, super easy to use. I do a little bit of buffing just because that's who I am and I have to, even though I don't need to. This one did not need any buffing at all. I could have probably just top coated and been done with it, but I did do a little bit of buffing anyway. But I'd say the quality of the dip powder is just so good, which you'll kind of see as I'm dipping along. I finished up my first layer on all 5 nails, and now that my dip base is fully dry, I'm going to go ahead and take my dust brush and dust off the excess powder. And even though this is a darker color, it doesn't stain my skin, which I appreciate, because some stain so badly that like even if you scrub your skin, it does not come off. And you can see here, as I'm going in with my second layer, my dip base brush is a clear brush. You don't see any color transfer. It's not staining my dip base brush either. So I always appreciate a dark color that doesn't stain anything. But anyway, so now I'm going in with layer 2 on all 5 nails, and that's just my normal process. I actually did get full opacity with my one layer, but I always like a little extra strength and thickness, because with one layer, it could be more prone to cracking because it's too thin. So I always like to do 2 layers of dip powder, which is what I'm going to do here. And then I'll end up doing a third dip powder layer that's just with clear, just because I did do a little bit of buffing, although I probably actually didn't need to cap and clear. I probably could have just kept it at the 2 layers of the indigo blue, but that's kind of like, I'm a creature of habit, and that's kind of like my normal process is typically I'll do 2 dips of color and then cap and clear. So that's just what I did for this process. I finished with my second layer of indigo blue on all 5 fingers, dusted off the excess powder. So now I'm going in with my third layer of dip powder, only this time it's going to be a layer of clear. So this is my clear from Double Dip. You can see I have a giant jug of it because it is one of my absolutely favorite clears. So I probably have like three, my like go-to all-time favorite clears. So Double Dip definitely up there, Vivid Glam Co. and Manny Boss. Those three are my ride or die. I absolutely love them. They are super clear. They never disappoint me. And you'll see here, even though it's a darker color, you don't see any speckles, any graininess, any cloudiness. Like the double dipped clear is amazing. And that's why I always have like multiple jugs of it because I never want to run out. So I'm going ahead, dipping all my fingers in there. And then after the dip base dries, you can see with a dust brush, you can still see kind of like that residue of the white. So I want to show you that you can't just, once you're done with the clear, you can't just dust off with a dust brush. It's always better to use a stiff scrub brush. So I'm going to go ahead, scrub off after I make sure my dip base is completely dry, and you will see a huge difference. So your dust brush does get off excess dust, but it doesn't like get off the additional dust like a good scrub does. So look at the difference in scrubbing versus dusting off with a dust brush. You can use a scrub brush for your dip colors as well. I just prefer a soft brush just because I'm too impatient to wait for my dip base completely dry to be able to scrub. But anyway, going ahead, making sure all the nails are dry before I scrub, because if you don't, then you're going to mess up your dip powder. And then once I finish scrubbing off all my excess clear, I'm going to go in with a layer of activator. I always like to be a little generous with the activator because I want to make sure that it's going to penetrate through all 3 layers of the dip powder. That's going to be what's going to harden, like cure your dip powder, and then you'll be able to file and buff. But like I kind of mentioned, I just filed like around my cuticle area and sidewalls, cleaned up my shape a little bit, just did a light buffing on top, and really that's all I did. But I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Here's how my mani's looking after I cleaned up the shape a little bit and just did a really quick buff on top. I am obsessed with the way it looks. It just looks velvety and gorgeous, but we are going to do a little bit of stamping just to spring it up a little bit. So this is a new stamping plate that Maniology sent me. This is M571. It does have that blue film on top. I need to remove that before I stamp. It's just really to protect the metal stamping plate, but the stamp won't pick up unless I remove that. So there's something really satisfying about peeling off that film. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Let me know if you enjoy that as well. But this has just like the really big floral print patterns and is just so fun. Some other tools I'll need for stamping are a jelly stamper. So this one I get from Maniology. They have my favorite jelly stampers, so I'll use that to pick up the image. And then I also need a scraper card. So this scrapes off the excess polish off the plate and it distributes the polish inside the etching of the plate. I'm also going to start with Poli Peel. This one's from Maniology as well. It's like a liquid latex, I believe. I'm not sure if it's latex or not, but it kind of protects your skin from the polish if you have like larger designs and you don't want to do as much cleanup on your skin afterwards. This kind of protects it so that when you stamp, it stamps on that and then you just peel it off. So I'm going to be starting with that because these are larger images. So I'm just carefully going around my nail, around the skin, so around the cuticle area, the sidewalls. I'm also going to get underneath my nail as well. And this Poli Peel, it dries pretty quickly. I'd say maybe like 2 to 5 minutes at the most, but I like to apply a little bit thicker just to make sure that it's going to peel off. But you don't have to go as thick. Obviously the thinner you make it, the quicker it's going to dry. But since I'm going to be doing the stamping on my thumb, middle finger, and ring finger, that's where I'm applying that Poly Protect. And as it starts to dry, it gets a little darker, so you can really tell when it's dry. The one thing I'll say about this is even though it's dry, it still stays a little bit sticky. So you have to really be careful on like what you touch after you apply this, just because you'll start sticking to things. And yeah, I know that from experience. So I'm just being really careful. I don't want to get the Poly Protect on my actual nail. So I'm just trying to get around the perimeter of my nail. If you do get it on your nail, clean it up. This isn't going to be completely flush with my nail, so there will be a little bit of gap where I'll do some cleanup, but it's much, much less cleanup than if I weren't to use this Poly Protect. But now we're going to get into the polish. So this polish is so beautiful. The green with the pink shimmer, the iridescence of it. So this is Pearl Prism B535. And I love that the color completely changes depending on your base color. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the instructions before I actually do it, just because it moves super quick and it's hard to explain as I'm doing it. So I'm going to pick the image I want on the plate, and then I'm going to apply a generous amount of polish to it. And then after I have the polish on, I'm going to use my scraper card and I'm going to scrape down at a 45-degree angle. You can scrape down, you can scrape from the right side to the left side, you can scrape up. Some people say it's better to scrape in the opposite direction of the way you apply the polish. I haven't really found a difference. Just make sure that you're scraping at a 45-degree angle to distribute that polish into the etching. And then for picking up the stamping after you do that, I like to roll my stamper onto that image to pick it up. You want to use light pressure. You can lightly press down. I think rolling works better for me. But if you press down too hard, you won't pick up the image, so you need to be gentle about it. So now that I've kind of explained what that is, let's go ahead and go through the process. So I'm kind of choosing my image. So I decided I want this rose. So I'm going to apply a generous amount of polish to that design that I want to pick up. So I put a lot there. I don't cover the entire image, and then I scrape at a 45-degree angle, and then I'm rolling my stamper to pick up that image. I started removing like the excess image that I picked up with my scraper card, but it's such a large image. I really didn't need to do this. So for the other nails, I don't really bother with that as much. But I'm going to kind of look through my stamper, figure out where I want to place it. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to press down to transfer the image from the stamper onto my thumb. And then if there's any polish sticking up, I'll just lightly press down. So it's just like that, just that easy. It quickly transferred. Now, I will say if your polish is on there too long and it starts drying, you may need a sticky base coat in order to have your image stick to your nail. But for this one, it stuck to my nail without the sticky base coat. So I'm going to continue on and do the same thing to my middle finger and ring finger. I'll also mention that I do have an affiliate code with Maniology, so you can use my code PurpleDips10 to save 10% off your orders. If I forget to mention that, my codes are always listed down below in the description, so you can always check there for codes that I have. Did anyone else enjoy that satisfying peely moment? But anyway, now that my stamping is completely dry, I'm going to go ahead and protect it. So I'm using my smudge-free top coat. This is from Maniology. It's an air dry top coat. And I'm not sure what the difference is, but like another polish, just sort of like a regular polish top coat could smudge the stamping, which I don't want to happen. So I'm protecting it with the smudge-free top coat, especially because I'm going to be using my Dipp'd top coat. Activator would definitely smudge the polish. So I'm going to do the activator on top of the smudge free top coat, and I find that works perfectly. So I'm just applying a little bit of a thicker layer to this, and this is pretty quick drying. I'd say 5 minutes max and it's dry, but you do want to make sure that it's fully dry before you do anything else. You could just leave it as is. I don't find it as shiny, but I could go in with a second layer, but I like to use dip top coat, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to finish applying this top coat once it completely dries. For your dip top coat, you do need activator in order for it to dry. So I'm going in with one final layer of activator to all my nails. I'm going to do my non-stamped nails first, and then I'll go in and do the activator on top of the no smudge top coat. When I do apply the activator on top of the no smudge top coat, I want to be really careful. So I get extra activator on my brush, and I kind of very carefully float it on top of the nail. I don't want to drag it through the top coat because that could obviously impact the top coat. But once I've got that all down, I'm going in with my first layer of dip top coat. I'm applying it in 2 to 3 swipes on each nail. I want to be fairly quick about it. In between each nail, I'm wiping my brush on a lint-free wipe to remove any excess activator. And then once I'm done with my 5th nail, I'm ready to go in with my second layer of dip top coat. So for my second layer, I'm just taking my time. I'm making sure I've got my entire nail covered, and I'm also capping my free edge. After my top coat dried, I decided I really wanted them to be matte, so I actually buffed off the top coat and then went in with a matte gel top coat. But now that that's all complete, of course, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles, my Scales of a Mermaid cuticle oil. This is in her newest released scent, Pixie Dust. I absolutely love this scent, and I loved it so much I actually bought a dropper bottle of it because I wanted more of it, because it's just like a really great light, powdery, florally, fruity type scent. So it's just really great for like any occasion. And I do also have an affiliate code with Scales of a Mermaid. You can use my code Genie10 to save 10% off your orders. And I do have a bunch of her scents. So if you want any scent recommendations, please let me know. I can give them a sniff test and let you know like what may be best for you. And you can also buy sample packs in case you want to try multiple scents. You don't want to really commit to a scent. Sample packs are a really great way to try a bunch of things. But now that I've rubbed in the cuticle oil, my nails aren't matte anymore. So in order to make them matte again, I'm taking some isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free wipe, and I'm just wiping down the nails. So that's going to remove the oils from my nails. So as the isopropyl alcohol dries, my nails are going to be matte again. So here is the finished look, and I have to say I am obsessed with the way this turned out. This indigo blue is just so perfect. I love it so much. And then the way the iridescent stamping turned to that purple against the indigo blue. Oh, I just love it so much. So if you're still here, drop me a flower emoji down below in the comments so I know you hung out. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this. And it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.